everyone, my name is Jake and welcome to my new channel, At The Buzzer. Thank you so much for tuning into my first video. Here on At The Buzzer, we will be providing you with daily NBA content ranging from post-game recaps, NBA quizzes, and just casual basketball talk. This channel is for anyone who enjoys the NBA in any shape, form, or fashion, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Game 6 of the Miami-Boston series just concluded, and oh my goodness, what a game it was. In a series that was as good as over when Miami went up 3-0, Derek White just, swooped in out of nowhere, was the unsung hero, and basically saved the Celtics season. This was honestly a game where all of the stars shot poorly, right? Tatum was 0 for 8 from 3. He shot less than 40% from the field. Jimmy Butler didn't have a good shooting game, and neither did Bam. But I guess we'll start with the Celtics. Like I said, Tatum didn't shoot well from the 3. And overall, I didn't really think he had a very good second half. He was attacking a lot in the first half, and in the second, he kind of just got away from that. Really started living and dying by the 3, and I don't like when he does that, because he's more than capable of taking over a game by putting the ball on the floor and getting in the paint, either drawing a foul or making a tough layup. So regardless, the Celtics came away with a win, but I would like to see Tatum be a little more aggressive in the second half. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, though, he played a little more efficient game than Tatum. Although he didn't shoot the long ball well, he was also 0 for 4. So, the Jays combined to make 0 threes. But Jaylen, he attacked the offensive glass and he played good defense, coming away with 2 steals. So I like the aggression from Jaylen. Could have shot the ball a little better, but coming away with 26, 10, and 3, that's never a bad thing from your Robin, and basically an elimination game in the playoffs, right? So couple other pieces for the Celtics, right? Marcus Smart, thought he played a pretty good game. This was his second game in a row with 20 points. First time he's ever done that in the playoffs in his career. Hit 4 big threes tonight, although he did attempt 11. I would like to see him shoot a little less than that. And a side note, Marcus Smart seems to shoot every buzzer beater for the Celtics. Given that they have, a lot of great shot makers in Tatum and Brown, I don't see why he's the one that's routinely shooting the last shot. But hey, shot it early enough tonight. Derek White came up with a big miss and, ultimately saved the season. So for Derek White, I kind of threw him in on my notes as a last minute thing. I wrote meh game, save Celtics season, and had 3 blocks. So Derek White gives you about what he expected to, but man, that layup, you can't say enough about how big that was for him and how big that was for the Celtics. So to the Miami Heat, this was an absolute game of runs for them. I felt like every time I was looking up, they had one of those ticker stats on the bottom that said Miami's on a 12-3 run, or Miami's on a 13-1 run, or Boston's on an 8-0 run. It felt like it just kind of kept teetering back and forth. And that's been them, all year. They've been able to come out of those situations on top a lot, but it also, comes back to bite them a lot of the time too. So this was one, if you're Miami, if you're Coach Spo, if you're Jimmy, if you're Bam, that, you're looking back on like, hey, how did we not close that out? If they would have boxed out a little more properly on that final possession, they'd be wearing some hats, cutting down some nets. I don't know about all that, but, they'd be on their way to the finals right now. And unfortunately for them, they're not. So this was obviously a must-win game for them. Now Miami has to win a Game 7 in TD Garden to keep their season alive, which, depending on who you ask, I don't really love their chances of that. Bottom line, they needed more from Kyle Lowry tonight. I know he was only 3 for 6 from the field, but as a veteran guy that's been in those situations before, you got to be able to trust Kyle Lowry to not only make the right plays, but to knock down shots. And I think he had one. They showed a graphic earlier where there was one game, I think it was game 1, the second quarter. He had 13 points in that quarter alone, and every other stretch of the series aside from that, he has 21 points total. So just a guy that when you signed him, you were hoping for a little bit more. Caleb Martin, man, you can't ask for any more. Absolute masterclass from Caleb Martin. He was 4 for 8 from the 3. I've honestly liked this guy since his Nevada days when they went on that March Madness run, him and Cody. I think that was probably back in like 2017 or something. I don't even know. It's been a while. But looking at Caleb Martin, man, that's somebody you have to keep on your team no matter what. He's a 6'5" power forward, but not only can he hustle, scrap, and get rebounds, that guy can shoot the 3. 50% from 3 tonight, hit some big ones, and he's been an absolute gem for Miami. So was looking at his contract. He is on a $7 million deal until the end of the 24 season, where he'll have a player option. I think if you're Caleb Martin, you're stupid not to test the waters just because a guy like that, unless something catastrophic happens, he can get way more money than what he's making now. So if the Heat are smart, they'll try to lock him up on an extension or just revisit that contract when the time comes, and hopefully come to terms with keeping him on a pretty lucrative deal. So wanted to get back into the game a little more. Jimmy drew a huge foul late on Al Horford, which I don't know why Al Horford complained about that call. It was a little unorthodox from Jimmy the way he drew it, but regardless, it was a foul. There was contact there, and after the officials reviewed it, Jimmy's feet were behind the line. So, hell of a job by him getting to the line, making those 3 clutch free throws. And honestly, when that happened, I thought Miami had the win in the bag. Terrible job, like I said, by Miami boxing out there at the end. Celtics are lucky Marcus Smart got that shot up early enough, which almost went in, but lucky nonetheless that he got it off early enough for them to secure an offensive rebound and just barely get that tip off before the buzzer sounded. So, like I said, Marcus Smart seems to shoot every buzzer beater, but luckily for the C's, it bounced their way this time. So with all that being said, I do want to, talk a little about some of the historical implications of this series, and even, these playoffs as a whole. So at one point, both conference finals this season were halted at 3-0 lead. So there were talks of both teams coming back. Adam Silver would have written a better script in the Titanic if that would have happened, but unfortunately for my Lakers, it didn't. But the Celtics are doing their part, man. I really do like their chances in Game 7, but again, looking at this through a historical scope, 150 teams, a nice even, 150, huge sample size, have been down 0-3 in the playoffs. And looking at the numbers, 15 of those 150, so just 10% have forced that Game 6, and only three have forced Game 7. So now 4 with the Celtics, obviously, but no team has ever come back. So Boston is really looking history right in the eye, and they have a chance to make it on Monday. I kind of wanted to talk about something I haven't heard a lot of takes on. Boston actually has the advantage because it's usually a lower seed that's attempting to make this 3-0 comeback, right? And when it's a lower seed, they have their Game 4 on the road, at home. They do have a chance to win. But with Boston being, the higher seed, it's almost as if they're in favor with their home court advantage, right? So this would mean a lot for Tatum's legacy. This would mean a lot for Jaylen Brown's legacy, and this would honestly go a long way for Joe Mazzulla too. Especially since this has been a pretty grueling playoff run for the Celtics, right? You start in round 1 with an Atlanta Hawks team that surprisingly takes them to 6. Overall, it wasn't a super competitive series, but still, you would have thought Boston could have got out of that series in 4 or 5. And then you move on to Philadelphia, which was a back and forth series, right? I mean, you had Joel Embiid and James Harden sometimes looking like the best 2 players in the world, and other nights they just kind of looked like role players. But Tatum obviously had that 51-point game in Game 7 that allowed the Celtics to move to the conference finals, and it's been a dogfight here too, right? I mean, anytime you go down 0-3, you never really think you're going to win the series. So kudos to Boston for staying in it and throwing some punches, throwing some good blows, and just maintaining their composure. This has been a team that there's been rumblings about their chemistry. Do they like each other? Do they enjoy playing together? And they've proved all the doubters wrong. So kudos to them. I feel like on Miami's side though, blowing this 3-0 lead, if it were to happen, wouldn't be a huge stain on Jimmy's legacy, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's just because they've overachieved so much in this run. But I'm looking at all the other star players in the playoffs, right? I mean, Jokic, Steph, LeBron, KD, just to name a few. If any of those guys were to blow a 3-0 lead, man, they would be slandered into oblivion. And with this Miami Heat team, I just don't see that being the case for Jimmy Butler. So there's probably going to be some speculation on who the scapegoat is going to be if that does happen. In my opinion, it would probably be Coach Spo. Just because that's a veteran coach, top 10 probably coach of all time, and you can't escape a 3-0 lead. I definitely think that would, cause some conversations in that Miami Heat locker room. Now to get into the main idea of the video, the main topic, I guess. My prediction for Game 7, and quite honestly, I'm predicting the Celtics make history Monday night in Boston. Although I think the Heat are a great team, they've had a phenomenal, overachieving postseason run. It's time it comes to an end. Boston will simply be too much for Miami at home. I expect them to come into the game shooting much better as a team. You know, they shot 7 for 35 tonight from long distance. So I really expect Tatum to step up similarly to how he did in the Philadelphia series, dropping 51 in Game 7. You know, I'm not saying he does all that, but I think he comes, you know, looking a lot more aggressive, looking to make big shots and willing Boston to a big win. I think the Miami Heat do go down swinging, though. I expect it to be a closer game within single digits, and I think Jimmy will go full attack mode. I mean, we've seen him come through in big moments, not only in the last few years, but also in this here playoff run. So if anyone's built for the big moments now, it's Jimmy Butler. But really, guys, that's my prediction. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts and answers in the comments below. I'm expecting a hell of a game, and whoever ends up in the finals fully deserves to be there. Thank you guys again so much for watching my first video. Our goal for this video is just 1 like. So if you are watching somewhere, you could be the difference. Click that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I'm out. This has been At the Buzzer. If you guys are still here, please don't forget to click that like button. Again, thank you so much for watching. In these outros, I would typically link other videos here, but since this is my first one, I don't have anything to link. While I'm here, I'll just let you guys know I'm planning on coming at you guys with daily NBA content, so if you like videos like this one, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything similar. Again, this has been Jake with At the Buzzer, and I'm out.